Alright folks, so been asked a few times about the carburetor nozzle. Let's talk about the carburetor nozzle for a second here. What people are finding is that after a simple muffler mod or even the more extensive muffler mod, drill a few more holes, add our billet deflector on there, dang thing just will not get lean enough, especially on canned fuel, because there's no ethanol in it. So it just won't get the RPMs up. So people may only see, 12,500 RPMs or so, and it's just not the optimal mixture. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you guys how to replace the carburetor nozzle today. Pretty self-explanatory. We're going to go ahead and pull this off. And this is a stock saw right now, minus the muffler mod. So this is going to end up being what I call our stage one. It's just basically nozzle and a muffler mod. I'll even show you guys our new super seal kit for the air filters. So let's take this guy apart. So pretty simple. I'd advise you first go ahead and turn this to the side, especially if it's in a hot environment. Oh yeah, we had lots of pressure in there, so if we wouldn't have done that, when we pull the fuel line off, we would have fuel everywhere. So just go ahead and close that guy back up. Remove our choke lever. Simple, just push down the butterfly with your finger. This guy comes right out. Impulse line. And fuel line. She's stuck on there pretty good. This is a very low hour saw, maybe like 5 minutes. This one is our stage one saws that just had in testing. All right, carburetor's off. So now we simply take off this guy right here. Actually, I just told you wrong. We're just going to check this guy out while we're here. Actually, this thing's still leaking fuel. Let me give him cracked a little bit. There we go. We're just going to check the pump diaphragm. Yeah, it's good. It's good, especially if you got some miles on the carburetor. Go ahead and put a diaphragm kit on it. They're cheap enough. And actually, the aftermarket ones you find on Amazon and whatnot, they actually have a more brown diaphragm material. They are actually probably more durable than this black material, but that's just in my testing. But you can get those. Heck, I think I bought 5 diaphragms for $5 a while back. Anywho. Alright, so we checked the fuel pump side. Everything looks fine there. Diaphragm's in good shape. Everything's flexible. This guy is still leaking fuel. Stop. So I just cracked the fuel cap a little bit, but it's going to continue to leak until I do something about it. So I'm just going to do this, crack it open some more. Now the other thing you could do, you could put a screwdriver in the fuel hose. That's also a viable option. I've got the wrong screwdriver on the bench. Be right back. All right, here we go. If you really don't tear up your diaphragm. This diaphragm's in good shape. This is a new saw, I would expect it to be. Okay, right here's our fuel nozzle. You see this one's got a little hole in the center. And that's the reason we can't lean it out. We're going to replace it with a different one that does not have the hole in it, so we can get full mixture control. Okay. Here's commonly available nozzle. So I like to use. And we'll need a spring-loaded punch. Oh, here we go. Okay. So here's a spring-loaded punch. Real simple. What you're going to want to do is hold the choke closed like this. It'll actually lock in position, the closed position. You're just going to punch this guy out right here. So it's just going to punch straight out and fall into the throat of the carburetor. This thing is still weeping fuel. Okay. It's pretty straightforward. We're just going to put it right in the center of that thing, right where the hole is. We're going to punch it. It moves so slowly, but yep, that's it. Then we open our choke back up, or the throttle in this case, falls right out. Okay, let's compare these. Okay, so here's the factory nozzle. You can see it's got a hole in the back. This is actually a bypass hole. It allows fuel around the needle and seat. This other jet does not have that. So what that gives you is full mixture adjustment. You can't overlean the saw, so you have to know what you're doing once you tune the saw, but who doesn't know how to do that at this point? So you also see this nozzle is slightly shorter as well, so it'll stick out less into the venturi of the carburetor. So have a little bit different fuel response to it, but everything works great. Been using these for a while. And you can see here there's a little step. Get you some real good light here. Let's get you some light. Help you see. There's actually a stepped line in the carburetor. You can see that very well. All you do is press a new nozzle in with the top of the nozzle even with that little line in the carburetor. And by the way, this carburetor already has the limiters taken care of, so this has full adjustment. Limiters have already been modified to give you full range of adjustment. So that's the other prerequisite for this mod. It's pretty straightforward from there. Put this guy in here. Take your spring-loaded punch. It'll kind of line up just perfect. Let's come in here. One click at a time. And it's thick enough in the back, you don't have to worry about punching through with your punch. Check and see, not quite there. Still not quite there. Okay. It's even with that top of the step that we talked about earlier, so it looks good. As soon as you can see that line, don't go any further. New nozzle in the carburetor. And we'll start with our adjustment. 2 turns out on the H screw. That's the other thing. People replace the nozzle and say, oh, well, now the saw won't start. Well, you got to realize that your mixture adjustment needs to be adjusted. That sounded intuitive, didn't it? Okay, well, show you a little something I came up with. This is our Super Seal air filter kit. It's got 4 pieces, 3 O-rings, and a stainless steel shelf. So you have this stainless steel shelf, laser cut, only fits one way. It gives a place for the O-ring to sit. So it just slides on here, nice and neat. Actually got it upside down. It only goes on one way, you don't have to force it. Precision fit below. Alright, so that goes on first. Then you have your largest O-ring, big O-ring. It just goes around there like that. Then you're left with 2 O-rings. So the fatter of the 2 same size center. The fatter of the two goes over the stud. That seals the bottom of the air filter. The air filter goes on. Actually, I'm going to clean this one. This one didn't have it before. This one just had the grease on it. So I'll clean this guy out. This guy goes on like that. You'll feel it sit. This O-ring goes over the top. That's it. So that will guarantee that no shavings get around that filter. So all that's left to do, crank this guy up and reset the H needle to the appropriate RPMs. So I will do that and report back on where the final setting was. Okay, we're back. Did both screws need a little tweaking from the initial setting. L screw ended up being at 1 1/4 out from full seat. The H screw was right at 2 turns out where we set it initially. That brought us to 12,750 RPMs. That's where it's best in the cut. So that's where I'm gonna leave it. I'm using True Fuel with Amsoil Sabre at 50-to-1 mix. This saw, it's got the basic muffler mod with the deflector cut. It does not have my aftermarket deflector on it. No extra holes in the muffler. Stock air filter with just a super seal kit. And it does have our modded key in it. So 6-degree key does make a little bit of difference on the mixture. But no, this thing, good cut and saw as is. So stay tuned for more things to come on this saw.